was enough to kill the entire capacity of the Spokane Arena twice.
21 people arrested on drug and gun charges throughout Spokane County. Find out what law enforcement is doing to protect the community moving forward.
Back in the 70s as we close out the week, but we have to talk the chance of rain arriving on Mother's Day.
The man accused of allegedly attacking a federal officer is back in court today. What new information was discussed in the hearing? Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start with some breaking news at this hour. Spokane police arrested a suspect in a North Spokane arson. We first brought you this story on KREM 2 News yesterday when a fire broke out in the 500 block of East North Avenue. As officers arrived on scene, they found a shed and a tall pine tree fully engulfed in flames, as well as a nearby fence. That fire began to spread embers to the yards of nearby homes, which created additional smaller fires. Spokane police determined that fire was deliberately set and found witnesses that saw a vehicle leaving the alley just before the fire. This morning, they arrested a woman, 34-year-old Jessie Green, who was then booked into the Spokane County Jail on first-degree arson. If you witnessed the incident or have additional information that could help investigators, please contact Crime Check. That number is right there at the bottom of your screen. In other news tonight, authorities detailing a major bust involving large amounts of fentanyl, meth, and firearms right next to a local high school. The acting U.S. attorney for Eastern Washington says 21 people from Eastern Washington are now facing armed drug trafficking charges. KREM 2's Regan Gallo was at that news conference today where authorities released all the details. Regan?
Well, investigators say they seized about 200,000 deadly doses of fentanyl in this bust. And this is just one part of a larger long-term investigation involving both illicit drugs and firearms. One part of this 7-month-long investigation is an apartment complex near North Central High School that allegedly was used to distribute drugs and hold firearms.
This is not simply a drug problem. It is a public safety emergency.
The acting U.S. attorney is filing a civil complaint against the apartment complex, labeling it as a free-for-all safety issue.
These individuals, through their own choice, decided to traffic poison into our community for their own personal gain.
Law enforcement says in the past 2 years, 58 calls were made for service at that apartment, and other drugs related to this prosecution were being sold on Division Street and near the House of Charity.
Enough to dose every seat in the arena, every seat in the McCarthy Athletic Center at Gonzaga, and every seat at One Spokane Stadium, with thousands of lethal doses left over.
Barker characterized the arrest of the 21 individuals as repeat offenders, including one person accused of using their 12-year-old child to sell drugs and another whose child allegedly overdosed on their parents' supply. And as for those 21 individuals, some are set to be arraigned tomorrow in federal court. It was also announced that in the coming weeks, a new U.S. Special Assistant Attorney will be hired to target more of these drug trafficking networks. Reporting in Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
All right, Regan, thank you very much. Continuing coverage as a Spokane man faces federal charges and potential deportation, accused of assaulting a Border Patrol agent during his April arrest. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy sat in on his U.S. District Court appearance earlier this afternoon.
We've now learned a federal grand jury handed down an indictment against Martin Diaz Wednesday, essentially saying prosecutors have enough evidence he could be convicted on his federal charge. Thursday, a U.S. District Court judge entered a not guilty plea on Diaz's behalf. He's charged with assaulting a Border Patrol agent during his April arrest. An affidavit says during this struggle, caught on the couple's security camera, Diaz elbowed Agent Walter Sketch in the eye.
There's some times where he's just heartbroken and hopeless, because it feels hopeless.
Diaz's wife, Kendall, says he's been working to get a visa for 2 decades, fighting against an order for his deportation that came after an assault charge when he was a teen. The affidavit shows Border Patrol were surveilling Diaz April 29th, trying to take him into custody under that order.
My husband is not a bad person, and I know that he did not intentionally hurt anyone if that's what happened.
Diaz's family also traveled from the Yakima Valley to be in the courtroom. It is the first time they have seen his face, even heard his voice since he was arrested late last month.
My mom says this is the worst nightmare. Just
Because her worst nightmare has become to her day-to-day living.
They say they'll make the trip for every hearing to show support and share Martin's story in a fight for justice.
This is his place. This is where he grew up. This is all he knows. Everything of him is here. He's being ripped from his life.
If convicted, Diaz could face 20 years in prison and have to pay $250,000. And, Kendall says, unravel any chance he could stay in the country.
Well, if he were found guilty, it would make it impossible.
Shannon Mowdy, Creme 2 News.
Spokane Valley detectives investigating a suspicious death are now calling it a possible homicide. Detectives responded to a report of a deceased man inside an RV on Tuesday in the 6500 block of East Broadway Avenue in Spokane Valley. After investigating, detectives now consider this a homicide and they're asking for the public's help. Detectives released this image of the RV and are looking for information regarding anyone associated with it from Sunday, May 4th to Tuesday, May 6th, while it was the general area of East Broadway and I-90. If you can provide specific information that may help detectives, you're asked to call Major Crimes at that phone number right there at the bottom of your screen. All right, let's switch gears and take our first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy the Goo. He is standing by in the Outdoor Weather Center. Jeremy, a bit cooler today, but still a nice day.
Yeah, all in all, it's been a rather beautiful day across the inland Northwest. Sure, we have a little more cloud cover, and sure, we have a decent drop in temperatures, but still a beautiful day nonetheless. 64 degrees is where we currently sit, and that's about where we are across much of the region. Mid-60s, up near 70 out in central Washington or down in the Lewis and Clark Valley. You compare that to where we sat this time yesterday, some 10 to 13 degrees colder. That's what a cold front does. Drops our temperatures as it moves through, and we also saw a couple of light showers along with it. But for the most part, that's it. Tomorrow, I think we wind up a little bit sunnier than today even, and then as we move from tomorrow into Saturday, clouds build, and by Sunday, we're talking a chance of rain returning to the forecast. It looks like the rain will start in these little splotchy showers Sunday morning. Most of us don't see it until Sunday evening, and for that reason, we're going to go ahead and say 65 degrees. It's an atmospheric trough settling in overhead that drops our temperatures. 78 tomorrow and mostly sunny, 77 on Saturday and mostly cloudy. And then once that trough moves in and the showers return, 65 for a high on Mother's Day. And it looks like that rain holds off until the afternoon or evening. Coming up in the full forecast, we'll talk why I believe that's so.
Good, Jeremy. We'll talk to you then. Fire investigators now believe a house fire on Spokane's South Hills started in a breezeway between the garage and the house. That fire broke out at around 3 o'clock this morning near 39th and Havana Street near Ben Burr Park. Right now, one person is at Sacred Heart Hospital in critical condition after he was hurt in the fire. The fire department found the man unconscious inside the home. A dog was also killed.
And then we saw a glow out of our bedroom window, and our houses are back to back, and it's pretty frightening. 2:45 in the morning. When you're dead asleep, you know, when you're out cold and the dog starts barking and then you start hearing explosions, you know, like boom, 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 you wonder what the heck is going on.
Firefighters say the house has significant damage and is considered uninhabitable. It is not clear tonight what caused the fire. In North Idaho news tonight, Kootenai Health is expanding breast cancer imaging in North Idaho. The organization formally opened 2 new women's imaging centers in Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls. The new centers include state-of-the-art imaging that creates higher quality images and mammograms and bone density. An oncologist at the center says this technology is making breast cancer more survivable.
Survivorship has never been as high as it is now because we're catching breast cancers very early and treating them and preventing new cancers from forming.
Women in Idaho tend to get mammograms and similar tests at a lower rate than women in other states. Kootenai Health tells us they hope this is the first step in reversing that trend. Well, we need your help this week supporting local families with the Creme Cares Diaper Drive. Right now, area Rosars have these diaper drive bags for sale. The bags will be filled with diapers and wipes to be given to local families through Vanessa Behand, our local crisis nursery. Creme 2's Laura Papetti live tonight at Rosars with how you can help. Laura?
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. That's right. You just saw the Creme Cares Diaper Drive bags. Well, that's exactly what you'll see when you walk into area Rosars. We have $10 bags, $20 bags. You pick them up, go through checkout, and then we will take the money and fill it with a week's worth of diapers and wipes to be distributed through Vanessa Behand. Now, families, when they have kids, can pay well over $800 a year for diapers. That's a national number. And locally, as many people are struggling right now, the one thing we know we can help with is diapers. We've been talking to local moms who say this need is so invaluable, and the help means that they can pay for other things like rent and food if they don't have to pay for diapers. Listen in.
It's gotten harder. Like, everything is harder. Like the price of gas and insurance for my car and groceries for my kids and clothes, and so I often use services like Vanessa Behand very frequently, like weekly, and really rely on them to help with that kind of stuff.
So those diaper drive bags, if you're able to purchase one, again, at area Rosars, you can also go to Super One and Huckleberry's on Spokane South Hill, or go to creme.com and you can make a donation there. Again, every dollar we raise can be used to help with those diapers and wipes for area families with our partners at Vanessa Behand. I'll send it back to you.
We are just getting started here on Creme 2 News at 5. Here's what we're working on for you after the break.
It was definitely professional. Out of all the other tournaments that I've been to, there was people sitting out on the course that would check your score.
High schoolers from across the Pacific Northwest get professional golf experience right here in Spokane. Find out why experiences like this one are crucial for their careers moving forward. Plus, we officially have a new pope. We'll tell you more about Pope Leo XIV when we come back.
It's gotten harder. Like, everything is harder. Like the price of gas and insurance for my car and groceries for my kids and clothes, and so I often use services like Vanessa Behand very frequently, like weekly, and really rely on them to help with that kind of stuff.